welcome
back
to
another
episode
of
Whudda
We
Watchin.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was sick.
Was that good? You think we should poll them and see if they should do that again?
I think we should call the episode here.
Okay.
Poster, be like, yeah, we got a good one for you guys today. It's only 20 seconds.
Yeah.
All right, man. How are you?
I'm doing good. How are you? Doing dandy.
I'm good. What brings you to town?
Oh, you told me, hey, come over after 6. Not a minute before.
Yeah.
That's why I'm here.
Not a minute before. You got here at like 6:30.
Yeah. Got caught in a little traffic. We'll call it that.
Great. That sounds like you were doing something weird.
Yeah, probably.
Let's just say I had my pants no.
Whoa! No, all my clothes are on. I
don't know what you do in traffic. I wasn't there.
I'm bad time management, so leaving work a little bit late. Got here a little bit late.
Probably gonna be recording a little late.
Yeah, and then I'm gonna get home a little late. Get in trouble for that, like always. Another brick in the wall, as they say.
Yeah. This is a real bang up of an episode today. So if you haven't already guessed, we sadly are still with only one mic. But this time, Keith was sitting on my lap like traditional style last time.
This time we're across the table, two guys.
No,
mic.
I thought.
Oh. You know what Nas always said? All I need is one mic.
Yeah, he did.
So now we're just two guys,
two dudes, just one microphone, endless possibilities.
All right,
so we're getting to the bottom.
What's our situation? What's our configuration?
I was just gonna say, like, normally you were sitting on my lap and we were both facing the same way, but now it's like a little like Pinocchio, like I'm a real boy, like kind of side saddle type thing.
I was gonna go belly to belly, laying down. Kind of like planking, but we're both.
Where's
planking.
the microphone?
It's just next to our heads, so we're both turned.
Oh,
one
we're
side.
cheek
we're
to
doing,
cheek.
We're doing swim breathing.
We're doing a classic Tony Bennett, Lady Gaga cheek to cheek action.
Yeah,
they had that song. You remember?
No.
Oh, they had a song. It was called Cheek to Cheek. I mean, it wasn't talking about them recording a podcast.
Laying belly to belly, cheek to cheek, doing the swim breathe.
Doing the swim breathe talk routine.
All right, and turn.
And turn.
But we only have
one
mic.
Two mic. Yeah.
So we just revealed that we've had two mics the whole time. Okay, cool.
So what have you been watching?
Why don't we talk about where we went, dude?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You take it away. Tell the people where we were.
I stumbled into this fella, Nicholas, at the Monster Mania Con in Oaks, Pennsylvania.
Oaks, PA. Shout out.
Which we went to. And I saw this guy, and he looked lost, and I found out it was actually my long-lost friend, Nick.
My co-host and trusty companion.
No, but it's like a convention, but it's horror-based, and they have a bunch of sellers, but they also have a bunch of stars there. They had almost the entire cast of Scream there.
Sans Drew Barrymore and what's her name?
Rose McGowan.
And also, what's her name?
Oh, Courtney Cox.
Courtney Cox,
well,
yeah.
Yeah, I don't think she's allowed to be seen in public.
What does that mean?
She's looking wild.
But yeah, so they had the rest of the squad there. Matt Lillard's line was to meet him. They were doing like meet and greet.
Yeah,
type
explain
things.
the situation when you walked up.
So I walked up, and I thought I was in the back of the line, and I was like, you know what, this is pretty long line, but I'm not really doing anything. This would probably take me like half hour, 45 minutes to get up to meet him. And I found out that I was at like the back bend of the last stretch of the line, and it was like like Snake on your phone.
Oh yeah.
It was like a configuration, but I would have been the pixel at the other end of the screen, and it was like all coil.
Yeah, everybody in the other coils were looking at you like, yeah, right, mom.
Be like, hey man, get in your coil.
Yeah, go all the way over there. Yeah, it's actually
all the way over there.
Line. Yeah, so I showed up about 15 minutes after Nick, and he said, "Oh, don't worry." They cut off the line to match.
Yeah, they just stopped. They were like, they said at right now it's going to take at least 2 hours for the person like last to go meet him, and they have to take a break for like lunch, and so they were like, we're just not letting anyone get in line right now.
So that was cool because it alleviated that for me. But instead, I got David Naughton's autograph from American Werewolf.
Yeah,
his line was very short, and he looked very happy. I think
you keep saying that. Was that sarcastic? Did he look miserable?
I don't know.
He's like, what the fuck am I doing?
I was getting the vibe of do I have to still be here?
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe he was having a good day. Maybe he's just.
Do you think he was eyeing up the hot dog stand across
him
the way?
and Griffin Dunn are both in the movie. He's actually the main character.
Yeah.
In the movie, David Kessler. Griffin gets eaten by a werewolf in the first 10 minutes of the movie.
Yeah.
He comes.
His line was longer. Right?
His line was like 4 times as long.
Yeah. Which was
so
bizarre.
Maybe, and they also had different agents, like different production companies, so they weren't even like signing together. They weren't like doing anything together. You would think like, oh, American Werewolf.
Yeah, like
2
those
characters.
two.
Maybe there's a werewolf between them that you can like get some weird selfie with. Maybe they do something like, oh, I'll put a mask on. No,
yeah, they did not.
No,
that's unfortunate.
And,
who else was there? Tom
Atkins.
Tom Atkins was there.
Our buddy Bones that you met. He got autographed by him.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, he got a Escape from New York poster.
That's pretty cool.
Which is cool.
Who else was there? They had a lot.
Alice
Doug
Cooper
Bradley,
was there.
Alice Cooper. Yeah.
Alice Cooper was there. His line was long.
Yeah.
Doug Bradley as Hellraiser was there.
Nev Campbell.
Nev. So yeah, screen wise, you had Nev, you had Skeet, you had Matt Lillard, Jamie Kennedy, David Arquette, and Roger Jackson, who's the voice. And then you actually had the guy that was in, I forgot his name, but he was actually in the costume as the killer in the first two.
He was the Ghostface.
Yeah.
His line was not very long.
So you could do all them together and photograph, but yeah, it was nuts.
It was like, we also ran into or I guess you ended up chatting with some dudes from another show that we listened to called Movie Dumpster. So just want to give them a little shout out. Are we going to maybe try and do a little collab with them in the future?
Yeah. We were talking shop with them. We were talking movies. So it was a good little meetup.
It was cool. A lot of cool people, a lot of cool movie friends about. So yeah, it was a good time. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, picked up some movies. Picked up some wild Hong Kong black magic horror movies.
Yeah. That's been your new genre that you've been like really steering into.
Yeah.
What do you want to? How about you name one movie that you watched?
Well, I'll pick up the movie I'll tell the movie I picked up there. It's called Red Spells Red, and it's just insanity. I don't really recommend it to people, but I mean, not that I don't recommend it. I just don't think most people would like it.
Yeah. In the traditional sense of enjoying a movie.
Yeah, but I followed that up with a classic Hong Kong 1983 Devil Fetus. That's a good one.
Madon.
It's another.
I've never seen it, but it sounds wild. Where can you find these movies? Where do you find these movies?
Well, that movie
are they Tubi or no?
No, that one. The one I bought was this company Error 444.
Yeah,
it's like a newer.
Oh yeah, what was the deal with them?
They basically buy the rights or distribution rights to Blu-ray movies that never got actually formatted correctly.
That's actually a pretty cool thing that they put it. So you bought a Blu-ray of it, which I think is like
and it was
from going no distribution to like, oh, now you can buy a Blu-ray of this. I think that's like pretty cool.
And then there's another company, Vinegar Syndrome. They have way more. Like they're way bigger.
Yeah,
they just pick up like movies that never had a proper release, or they like re-release it with a bunch of crazy like art
extras and stuff. That's cool.
Like extras in it. So I got Showgirls. On Blu-ray from them.
That's pretty cool.
And it's like this whole box that opens up. It has like crazy art in it and like special editions of the. I don't know, man. Whatever. Got some gear.
Got some gear. I definitely.
And
check
you got
it
a cool
out.
print.
I did. I got a They Live print. I actually shouted out the dude on Instagram, and he wrote back to us, which I thought was really nice. Really nice guy. And then
he's always at the Colonial.
He
does the prints for those horror showings at Colonial.
Yeah, shout out to the Colonial Theater.
And I said that he's doing one more this year. He's doing Silent Night, Deadly Night.
Yeah, which that'll be pretty cool.
Yeah, and I don't know if you're available at the end of December, but we're going to try to go see, they're doing the Thing at the Colonial.
I did see that. That'll be pretty.
So we're going to go.
That's my movie. But yeah, I thought it was pretty cool. We had it was a good time. Definitely check it out if it comes to you, or if you're in the general area. I thought it was cool. I'm definitely going to try and go again next year.
The MonsterCon?
Yeah.
Monster Mania?
I would go again.
There's one
cool.
in Oaks and then there's one in Cherry Hill.
Yeah, and I think it's the same people, right?
Yeah, they just do like, I think it's like every 6 months. And I think there's a third location too. I can't remember.
Yeah.
Did you watch anything cool this week?
I don't know if it was cool, but I did watch Silent Hill 2006. I never saw it, and I've been waiting for the Silent Hill 2 remake. They're like doing it for the computer, and I really want to get it to just because they're just beefing up all the graphics and stuff. And I remember that they made a movie, and I never saw it, and it was pretty cool. if you like Silent Hill, like I mean, I think you'll enjoy the movie. Did you ever see that one?
Yeah, so I think I don't really remember anything after the first half of the movie, but the first half of the movie is so creepy. And
it's cool.
It reminds you of the game so much. I think it stays pretty good, right? Is it
yeah.
finished good?
Yeah, it's pretty consistent. They kind of nailed the whole like the fog.
Yeah,
all like the tone of the whole movie is like they got it.
I remember the first half. Like I just haven't seen it in so long, but I remember the last time I watched it, the first half, I was like, yo.
Yeah, it was good. Definitely worth the watch. Yeah, and then so what are we watching for this movie?
We're watching Caddyshack.
Caddyshack.
And I want to shout out 2 movies that I watched that are also Bill Murray movies.
Okay.
I watched What About Bob?
Oh, the movie's
I haven't
awesome.
seen I just haven't seen it in a very long time.
Emily's family, that's like one of their family movies that they watch all the time.
Oh my god,
What
it's
About
so
Bob?
good.
We constantly say, I'm a sailor. He's like tied to the pole.
Yeah, dude, that
I'm
movie.
A sailor.
Oh my god, that movie cracks me up. I'm thinking about getting the "Don't Hassle Me, I'm Local" shirt.
Yeah, it's so
Squeeziest shirt of all time.
Yeah, he's so awesome.
So I watched that, and I watched Stripes again.
Stripes is good too.
Yeah, I haven't watched that in a long time. So I was like, you know what, I'm getting Murrayed out.
We're getting.
But I will also shout out this cool book that my lady and I just got called "The Big Bad Book of Bill Murray."
Yeah,
we just got it for it was like $5. I mean, it's originally like a normal price, but we found it at like a store that was like, I guess, unloading these things.
Yeah,
and it's just awesome. It's just supposedly it's not like, I don't think it's authorized by him,
but it's just like
second hand.
There's
even a note here that says that, but the editor has gone through and fact checked, I guess, everything about it. Yeah. But it's basically just goes A to Z through topics and movies, and just talks about his. Like has quotes and stuff and has pictures. And
that's pretty cool.
It's pretty cool.
It's just the unofficial career of Bill Murray. That is pretty cool.
Kind of the man.
That's a good coffee table book. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's what I have. I'm sorry, that's a lot, and we haven't even started yet. But we're doing Caddyshack.
Caddyshack. Yeah, 1980.
This was an excellent rewatch. I hadn't watched it in so long.
Yeah.
I couldn't even tell you the last time I had watched it.
It's
probably college, which is like
it's been that long.
Yeah. Really? I just hadn't. Sometimes I don't go rewatch stuff even if I love it, just because I'm like, oh yeah, I know that.
I usually try and watch this like once a year.
This is definitely going to be a rewatch.
But so Caddyshack, 1980. It was directed by Harold Ramis.
It's cool because he works together with Murray a lot, and he's also in.
He was Egon in Ghostbusters.
Yeah, which is awesome.
And he was Russell in Stripes, which I thought was pretty cool.
I was watching that, and I was like, oh man, this is cool.
I don't know if this was his. This actually might have been one of his like first movies that he directed.
That direction, I think so. He was involved in Animal House and Meatballs. Yeah, this is his first direct. So he was a writer on Animal House and Meatballs. Yeah, and this is the first one he's directing, and then he did Stripes, and then Vacation. Yeah, and then Ghostbusters. He was like, it's crazy.
Ghostbusters 1 and 2.
But it's
all he's been in a lot,
like 78 through 90.
Yeah, because Stripes was 81, Ghostbusters was 84, and then Ghostbusters 2 was 89, and he was literally like main roles in all 3 of those.
Yeah, and then he actually wrote and directed Groundhog Day.
Yeah, he also was a writer. He also has writing credits on this movie as well.
Yeah,
which I thought was cool. So then it was also written by writing credits are also given to Brian Murray, Bill Murray's brother. And Douglas Kenney, who was he co-founded National Lampoon in 1970. Did you ever see that? It was like they made a movie about National Lampoon. It was on Netflix. Did you ever see that?
Well, it's like the actual National Lampoon group.
Yeah, it's kind of like a I can't remember the name. It's a very long name. National. Let me try and see if I can find it. Netflix. Oh, A Futile and Stupid Gesture. Did you ever see that?
Nah.
It's pretty good. It's basically like the life and death of National Lampoon.
That's cool.
Which I thought was cool. Yeah. So this starred. Do you want to go over the cast?
Oh, you got it. Go ahead.
So this was starring Chevy Chase. I'll actually just go through their characters. Chevy Chase as Ty Webb. I think we usually just do actor character. Rodney Dangerfield, my man, as Al. It's Shervick, right?
I think it's Cervic.
Cervic. Al Shervick. Ted Knight as Judge Smales. Michael O'Keefe as Danny Noonan. Bill Murray as Carl Spackler. which is just an awesome name. And then we have a couple other people that I don't think are as highly billed.
Just his brother.
Brian Murray plays Lou. I'm trying to see if there's anyone else. I don't really think so. Did you want to call it anyone else?
Nah, I think that's really all you need to know.
Okay, nice,
great lineup though.
Yeah, this is a heavy, some heavy hitters. So I actually went to I mentioned this to Keith. So I went to a live screening of Caddyshack. It was like a screening and Q&A with Chevy Chase, and he basically told a lot of stories about filming this, and I can't imagine how stressful it must have been to be on set because of how much drugs and partying between like all of those people we just named. It was literally just like a frat party for the entire time they were on set.
That's what I was reading in this book. The one fact is that like almost all of the budget went to partying supplies.
Yeah,
like they said
hard drugs.
The most amount of cocaine they've seen on a set.
Yeah, it was. He told a really funny story that basically was one night when they were filming, and Chevy Chase said working with Rodney Dangerfield. Like in the movie, like as we'll go through, he has some wild quotes. Like he's a really active guy, and he was a lot older than he was older than a lot of the other cast. And they said he partied harder than all of them combined. And he was just so stressful to be with because he like would not stop. He was always on, which I mean, I guess it's probably the cocaine. But anywho, did you have any fun facts before we start? I thought that was just a neat little piece of trivia.
The only thing that I saw was cool was the whole idea came from Bill and Brian and their other brother Ed were caddies at a golf course when they were younger. Yeah, and like a lot of this came from their tales of
just being like
being underpaid and being around like just crazy rich snobby assholes.
Yeah,
and just their tales. So they basically I think they took their experience and just spun it into just a wild
into their own. It's like a party movie. But it is funny. I mean, there is like throughout the movie. I think one of the things that I enjoy most about this is like the caddies are just these like high school, college age kids who are just partying and drunk all the time, and then they're like helping some of the richest people in the world, like or in the area and stuff like that. And it's just it's pretty funny. So do you want to get into the plot? You want to dive into the plot?
No, you go ahead.
All right, so
take it away.
Diving into the plot, and Keith, definitely jump in if I'm glossing over anything. So we start off with Danny Noonan as kind of the main character. I would argue that this movie centers around Danny. Would you?
Yeah,
agree
he's
with
like
that?
I mean, I think Chevy Chase is the highest build, but he's honestly not in the movie as much as you think he would be for being.
Yeah, and he's also, which I thought was funny, Danny Noonan, what's his name? Michael O'Keefe, is not on the poster, but I think he has the most screen time in this movie.
He does. I guess he's also, how old do you think he is in this?
I mean, what, like the actor, or like his character's only supposed to be 17?
Well, I mean, the actor's probably not that much older.
Probably wasn't much older. Yeah.
But he kills.
He was awesome. Really yeah, he was awesome in this. So it kind of opens up. You're at Danny Noonan's house. He's getting ready for the day, and he's in a very chaotic house.
Yeah, how many siblings does he have?
There's got to be like 15 kids in the house. It's just very chaotic. You can tell that he's his dad asked him like, "Hey, did you get out? Like, did you work?" And he's like, yeah, I got X amount of money, and okay, put it in the college fund. So a big theme throughout this in Danny's world is, I need money for college. Like, I have to go to college, but I don't have money for it. So that's kind of why he's working as a caddy. He also has a really funny. So there's all the chaos and stuff, and the one kid is sitting next to his dad. And he goes, "Who are you?"
He's like, "That's your nephew."
It's your nephew.
Yeah, there's as much people in his family as like Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, their family.
Yeah, it's
probably more.
Except they all share one bed. Too, like the grandparents.
Jesus Christ.
So anyway, he's trying to earn money to pay for college. It then kind of flashes to him being at Bushwood, which is the kind of the main setting for this movie. It's a very, very snobby country club. It flashes and you see Danny caddying for Ty Webb. So this is the first time that you see Chevy Chase on screen, and you get the sense that he's a younger guy. He is absolutely loaded, and he's a scratch golfer. He's incredible at golf, and they're basically just having a little conversation. Oh my goodness, that was a mouthful. Did you have any quotes for this? I figured you would want to.
Oh, doesn't he say to him? He's like, well, he gets his name wrong like 3 times.
Yeah,
he keeps calling him like Teddy.
Yeah,
Benny, I think he calls him.
He's like, "I like you, Benny. It's Danny. Danny."
He's like, "Do you do a lot of drugs, Danny?" He's like, "Every day."
Every day. Good.
And then I this is also the scene where he blindfolds himself, right?
Yeah. So you get the sense that he's basically talking to this guy Ty, and kind of asking him for advice. He's doesn't have any money. He doesn't know really what he wants to do with his life, but he just knows that he has to go to college for because it's kind of the thing that they're doing. And he has a couple really funny exchanges, and the one line is like, "I'm just going to end up working in a lumber yard my whole life. Like, I don't know if I should go to college." And Chevy Chase goes, "What's wrong with lumber yards? I own 4 of them." And he's like, "Yeah, I don't see you spending much time there." He's like, don't really know where they are. It's a great line.
And this is where he puts he basically puts the
Yeah.
blindfold on, and he says, "There's a force in the universe that makes things happen, and all you have to do is get in touch with it. Stop thinking, let things happen, and be the ball."
Be the ball. It's like the most vague advice.
And then he's just actually hits the ball.
It's so stupid. So anyway, so that's kind of sets the stage for you can tell that they kind of interact well with each other. Ty seems to be the most normal out of all of the rich people that are there. Anyway, moving forward a little bit, they find out that there is a scholarship. We kind of flash forward a little bit to the Caddyshack where all the caddies are hanging out, and they find out that there was a scholarship that one of the founding members, Judge Smales, has opened up, and it's basically a full college scholarship for any caddy. So Danny is now trying to kind of win over the judge. He's just completely kissing his ass the entire time, which is hilarious. They're out there, and he's obviously a judge, and any chance he can, he's like, I've often thought about, becoming a lawyer and stuff like that. He's just like completely cheesing it up to do anything to try and get on his good side because he wants the scholarship.
There's a good quote there, though, where he's like, yeah, I enjoy the law. He's like, oh, what kind of law? And because he was just talking about like noise ordinance,
yeah,
he's just like, oh, personal property and noise ordinance. And he goes, oh, well, he's like, I don't have enough. My family doesn't have enough money to send me to college. And he's like, oh, the world needs
ditch diggers.
Needs ditch diggers.
And then he just walks away, which is just wild.
The world needs ditch diggers, and that's it. Okay.
So we are kind of at this point in the movie that I'm going to gloss over, but I'll come back to it. You are also introduced to Bill Murray's character as Carl and Al. You said it's Chervik, right? Chervik.
Yeah.
Al Cervic.
Cervic, I think.
Cervic.
I think it's Cervic.
Al Cervic. We're going to go with Cervic. Al Cervic, who is Rodney Dangerfield's character. But they're kind of all intertwined. I think it's just a little easier to tell the story in kind of one direction. So now, meanwhile, we're going to flash over to Carl. It's terrible. He's described as a mentally unstable greenskeeper. I mean, he's just like mumbling to himself. He basically, the lead greenskeeper discovers that there's a gopher on the greens, basically digging. He sees that there's a flag that's kind of like moving around. He sees like mounds and stuff like that. So separately, Carl is tasked with the task of killing the gopher. But there's a really awesome line that I wanted to outline where he says the lead greenskeeper is, I guess he's Scottish, right? So he has a really thick accent, and he goes, "Carl, I need you to go out and kill all the golfers." And he goes, "Sir, if I kill all the golfers, they're going to lock me up and throw away the key." And then he's like, "No, you idiot, gophers." And as he's walking away, he's like, "Not my fault. No one can understand what you're saying." Which I just think is so funny.
Oh, and we don't even need a reason to kill them.
He's like, "Oh, we should just do that. We don't even need a reason." It's so stupid. So again, I always like to point this out. In this movie, I would say there's the plot of Carl trying to hunt down the gopher. You have Danny trying to basically figure out where he is in life. And then you have Ty, Judge Smales, and Al just being rich people. I think are really the main.
Just trying to out dick at each other.
Yeah, basically just doing one giant pissing contest with who can throw away more money.
But when the groundskeeper walks up on Carl the first time, he is doing something really insane.
Oh,
that's a ball wash.
Yeah, it's to clean your golf ball.
Yeah,
there's cleaner in there, and then you basically dunk the ball.
He's just churning the butter basically, and he's just watching these older ladies golfing. He's just saying despicable things about them. He's like,
just muttering to himself.
You're in green. You're hiding from me.
He's like, I see you over there. His bucket hat.
Oh my god!
The bucket hat boots combo makes me laugh 100%.
And then when he starts halfway through, when he starts talking out the side of his mouth like this,
he's like, Varmint.
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 The only good varmint poontang. The only good varmint poontang is a dead varmint poontang.
It's just me, the squirrel. It's so stupid. So then separately, you meet Al Cervic. He is described as a loud and free-spirited, basically new money is the best way I can describe him. There's a sign that you notice earlier in the movie of basically Cervic apartment buildings, like coming soon. So you get the sense that he's kind of like a business tycoon. He's involved heavily in property, and he kind of just made his own money, and now he's just really doesn't give a shit what anyone has to say because he has money. So he pulls up to the Bushwood in a great opening scene. He has a friend with him there. They're walking through and the little pro shop, and he's just like, oh, I want one of those. Give me 2 of those. Give me 3 of those. 4 of those. He's basically just throwing his money around the entire time and just whipping out like one-liners left and right, which is, Rodney Dangerfield, if you know his comedy, that is like his comedy style. It's just like smart ass, basically.
My favorite part about that scene is when he gets the hat. There's this rainbow striped hat in there, and he goes,
yeah.
Oh, when you buy a hat like this, I bet you get a free bowl of soup, huh?
And Judge Smales.
He looks over and he's wearing the same hat. He's like, oh.
He's like, looks good on you, though. And it does like this dipshit face.
It's like oh my god.
It's so funny. So he is, they're basically out on the golf course. And I like that Al's bag because he's like a big, rich, flashy guy.
God, dude.
His golf bag has a stereo, a beer tap, or like a beer, there's basically a keg in there, a TV, and then he has all his like fancy gear. Like he has the button that shoots the club out.
And a phone.
Yeah.
And every time you see a caddy dealing with him, they find a new feature of this thing.
Of the bag.
So funny.
So then flashing a little bit back, when the judge and Danny are talking, and Danny's like, I've been interested in the noise law. Basically, you've been introduced to Al, and he's blasting his stereo out on the thing, and he's like, what the fuck? Like, this is a country club. You can't just do that.
Yeah, the guy, his caddy's carrying his bag.
Yeah.
It's actually Danny's rival.
Yeah.
And he's like, what do you have in your rocks? And he's like, oh, when I was your age, I was carrying tons, like five bags of ice up or something like that. Tons of ice up a six-story building or something like that. He's like, let's dance. And then
he's like, yeah, so what? Let's dance.
And he
rips off the front, and it's a stereo.
Turns it on, and then their whole group is just dancing up on the hill. Oh,
it's so stupid. I love it. But anyway, so now you've kind of all the characters have joined up for the first time. Judge Smales is teeing off, and Al goes up to him, and he's like, hey. He actually yells, yo, Whitey, where's your hat? After he just completely, like, trashed his that he was wearing. Judge Smales is, like, losing his mind. He's, like, trying to get ready to tee off. And Al just keeps, like nudging him a little bit. And he's like, hey, $100 you missed this tee, or something like that. He ends up swinging, missing, and the judge is enraged. He basically loses the bet, throws his club, and ends up injuring a woman. And Danny basically takes the fall for him. He's like, I was his caddy. Like, I'm so sorry. Like, I should have noticed your clubs were a little slippery. Like, I'll get right on that. And this is kind of the first time now that the judge has taken notice of Danny as like, hey, thanks for covering for me. And then he actually, at this point, encourages him to apply for the caddy scholarship.
Yeah, but when he throws this club,
he
looks first. He looks, thinks about it once, and then says, and throws it anyway. So you're like, that is a severely just demented man.
Oh, he's just he's very like, on by the book, and then this guy comes in, and Rodney Dangerfield comes in and is just being such a dick about everything. So then we flash forward a little bit to the Bushwood annual 4th of July banquet. I wanted to mention, after he encourages Danny to apply for the caddy scholarship, he tips him, and he's like, you're a really good caddy. Like, you should be very proud of that. Like, here, take this for yourself. And he gives him 50 cents.
Yeah.
What the? I just thought that was so good. So anyway, so now we're flash forward a little bit to Bushwood's annual 4th of July banquet. I almost said Daniel. Danny, I guess it is Daniel. That wasn't wrong.
He can go by whatever you want him to go by. He's not here to defend himself.
Danny and his girlfriend Maggie that you meet.
They were also very Scottish.
I don't know what.
But it's like every 4 words is English. Like, is not English. Every 4 words is
It's
not
like
Scottish.
he has no accent.
So it's like, did they just tell her she's got to do this? Because it's like she almost falls out of it.
It's very confusing.
Oh, Donnie.
Oh, Donnie. You're like, I
Don't get caught by the judge back here. But it's like so
they're always after me, Lucky Charms.
it's so like it's honestly like almost like off-putting because it's like so
it's out of place is what it is.
Yeah.
I don't understand it. Anyway,
it's like if I was talking, I was just like, yeah.
I would love to see your audition tape.
I don't know, man. I don't even know what I was going with. You gotta just take it away.
So anyway, Danny and his girlfriend Maggie are working as waitstaff. So Danny's the girl that he's dating, Maggie. She works at the little snack bar, but you can tell like all these kids they kind of do a bunch of different roles. So you see them as like being waitstaff. Like Danny's rival is like serving drinks over at the party and stuff. So it's very much like if you've ever been to one of those places, worked at one of those places, it's kind of like you just kind of fill in where you're needed almost. So Rodney Dangerfield continues to bully Judge Smales and the older club members. Everyone's really dressed up very, very nicely.
Oh my God.
And he comes in this it's like a plaid suit. It's incredible. But he's basically, again, throwing his money around and stuff like that. And he's basically, all of I would say the younger crowd is kind of flocking to him because they're like, oh, this place is like kind of shitty. Like, this guy's awesome. He's a lot of fun. And basically he's tipping everybody and I don't know. Did you have any fun lines?
Yeah, well, when you first see him in that club,
he
says, hey, he's like, can you scare up another round for us? He's like, tell the cook this is low-grade dog food.
He's like, I've had better food at the ball game.
It's like, this steak still has marks from where the jockey was hitting it. And I was just like, what?
Yeah, that is wild.
And then he farts really loud, but it's like the most comical. He's like, "Oh, did someone step on a duck?" And this is where he stands up and just starts going down the line and just starts saying like, "Fuck you, fuck you."
He's going up to all the people. The one line weird.
Well, he tries to tip the judge because the judge is wearing his French.
It's like a traditional Scottish outfit. Yeah. And he looks like one of the waitstaff, and so he's like, "Hey, here, you're a good kid." And he goes to put $1 in this thing or a 20 in there, and he goes, "Oh, Captain Hook."
And then he sees his wife. Says, "Hey, baby, you must have been something before electricity."
But it's just these endless stream of like unreal one-liners.
And then the priest is there. He's like, "Hey, Rabbi, how we doing?"
Yeah.
He's like, "Oh, is this your son?
Is this your son?" And it's Judge Smales' nephew, Spalding, who sucks. And he's like, "Hey, you're a good boy. Look at this kid. He's good." And then he walks away. He's like, "Oh, geez, no, I know why the lions eat their young."
and then he walks up to the
band. Yeah,
the whole dance where he's like, "What is it? The dance of the dead?"
He's just killing it. And then he throws a bunch. He's like, "Hey, here, play something good," to the conductor. He tips him, and then he goes, "Hey, and the band, take more lessons." And he just throws a handful of money in the air. just so it's over the top. But anyway, so at this point, Danny becomes attracted to Judge Smales' niece. I guess her name's Lacey, right?
Lacey, yeah.
Yeah, her niece, Lacey, who's basically visiting for the summer and is just kind of hanging out at the club.
She's kind of hanging out.
Yeah, she's not dressed very appropriately.
Yeah.
Is what Keith is trying to delicately say. It's not good.
Yeah.
And I think the judge's reaction to that is just, he's like, she is a a zest for life. Let's call it. You're like, okay. So yeah, they're all kind of like, being like, "Oh, who's that?" to this young lady, Lacey. So anyway, you kind of flash forward a little bit more. They're still at the party, and you see Ty enters the building. I keep saying their name. I kind of just want to say Chevy Chase.
You can say it.
So Chevy Chase enters the scene, and then he gets introduced to Rodney Dangerfield, and then he catches the attention of Lacey as well. So you can tell that Chevy Chase is kind of this like, he's supposed to be like a swanky guy.
Yeah. So Danny has a girl, but wants the girl, wants her, and that girl wants
Chevy Chase. Yeah.
So it's a whole weird.
It's a mess,
and they're like very different ages.
Yeah, I don't know, how old do you think Chevy Chase is supposed to be in this movie?
I don't know. He's definitely a lot older than Danny. I guess
think
maybe
it's
like the 5-year
an...
rule. Like he can do steps. So she's 5 years older than Danny, but he's 5 years older than her, so it works. I don't know, man.
I don't know. I always pictured he was like late 30s. mid-30s.
And Danny's 17. So what are they doing? 10-year gaps? She just
I don't know
gaps
what
in the
they're
middle.
doing.
It was real weird. That when I realized it's at first I was like, oh, they're not the same girl. No, they are the same girl.
Yeah, it's the same girl.
Yeah.
So he ends up hooking up with her. Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert. They both do.
They both do. Spoiler alert. Yeah, it's not great. Anywho, jumping forward a little bit more, Danny ends up playing in the Caddy golf tournament. It's kind of the next day. He plays and wins the Caddy golf tournament, and he ends up winning the scholarship from Judge Smales. Because
did you know that this actor is the only actor that knows how to play golf in the whole production?
Who?
He's actually
Michael O'Keefe?
Yeah, he's actually
Really?
like he was like a. I don't think he was like a golfer, but he had played golf before.
So
he's the only one that knew how to actually swing a golf club.
I mean, it looks like he knew what he was doing, which is
so it's just funny
cool.
that they had probably instructed and taught everyone how to do the passable golf swing, but he's the only one.
And he was just like, yeah, I'm good. Have you ever been golfing? Have you ever gone?
I've done 9 holes.
I want to go. I was talking about it today with
I like the driving range.
Steve.
I'll
go to the driving range.
You ever see my video, my Happy Gilmore half step video?
Yeah, you did. Your girl sent a video of you doing a Happy Gilmore swing, and the ball just disappears into darkness.
Yeah, what's funny is I'm not like a great driver, but
Yeah.
once I reestablish myself out there, I can hit it pretty hard.
Yeah.
But once I started messing around with doing the step through
The Happy Gilmore.
I couldn't hit it again normal.
Really?
I could only hit it if I did that.
There's some power behind that shit.
Yeah, but
too.
she was like, just do it normal. And I was like, okay. And I missed. Like,
You're like, oh no, thank you.
I would just biff it every time. But then the only way I could get it
It's
again.
funny.
And I had people watching me. There's people
Yeah.
that do mini golf and they were watching. So now I'm sweating.
Oh,
but
dude.
the only way I could get it is if I did that like insane, just like gallop and then go
And then
for it. Without looking at the ball.
Yeah, it's just pure instinct at that point.
Yeah.
It's pretty great.
But yeah, that's what I got. So
Yeah, that's the day in the life of Keith.
Yeah, so Patreon, send me money.
Send me money.
I'll do more golfing.
Just come and give him cash. Anywho, so he wins the scholarship, and Judge Smales ends up inviting him to a christening ceremony for his boat in a nearby yacht club, which he has an awesome line. Which he wins the tournament. Judge Smales comes up to him and he's like, we're having a little christening of ceremony tomorrow. Are you busy? And he's like, I think Danny's like, I might be free. And the judge goes, good, I need someone to mow my lawn.
Yeah.
That was awesome. And then he's like, but after you're done, maybe you could stop by.
And then you're thinking like,
stupid.
okay, he's christening this. I don't know. He says the kind of boat it is, but I just assumed it was like a respectable sized boat.
No, it's like a little
It's like a
dinghy
little
yacht.
dinghy, yeah.
It's like a little sailboat. It's just so funny. So Judge Smales, so they're at the christening ceremony, and then later on, Rodney Dangerfield sees that they're christening the boat. He's in his mega yacht, and he's like, "Oh, I want to go over there and say hi." Rodney Dangerfield grabs hold of the controls, has absolutely no idea how to drive the boat, crashes into Judge Smales' boat, and it sinks, basically. Separately, as soon as we're done after this, there's a little scene of Danny and Lacey hitting the old with arms wide open.
With arms wide open.
As a side note,
oh my god, yeah, this is so funny though.
Yeah, the judge comes home. They're at the judge's house, hooking up essentially. The judge comes home and finds those two together. He's wearing the judge's robe too, which I thought was really funny. And then there's just a really funny,
Yeah, so when he catches him, he's like, "Oh, here, Judge, here's your robe." He takes his robe off, and he's just got
Throws
his
it
little
over his
whitey tighties on, and they start chasing him with. Is it a golf club he has?
Yeah,
yeah. He
yeah.
starts smashing everything, including his whole. What do you call that? What kind of bed is that? That has the.
Oh, it's like a canopy bed.
He just breaks the whole canopy bed and falls on him. Oh my god!
It's just chaos ensues. So then Danny basically is he's like, I'm fucked. Like, I'm done for. So it's the next day. Danny's kind of expecting to be fired because of what just happened. But the judge ends up saying, like, I don't, all I'm asking is that, like, you just don't mention this to anyone. And Danny's like, fine. That's totally. He's like, I'm not telling anyone.
Like, I'm locked down with my Scottish girl at the snack stand
with Patches over here.
Okay.
Was that wild?
No.
Yeah. I don't know why the name. Anytime that I need like a silly name, Patches O'Houlihan is always one that comes to my mind because of dodgeball. Obviously,
That's a good one.
It is a good one. He says he's still the scholarship winner, but he just can't tell anyone. So basically unable to unable to bear Rodney Dangerfield's character. Smales confronts him and then says that like you're never going to be a member. This is kind of like flashing forward a little bit. I think they're actually back at the club, just kind of having drinks and stuff like this. They get into more arguments, and he's like, "You'll never be a member here." And it turns out that Rodney Dangerfield says the only reason I'm here is because I think I might buy it.
Yeah.
And he's like, "I wouldn't want to be a member for anything. Like this place sucks," which I just thought was really. And obviously Judge Smails didn't like that one bit, and basically said that he. Again, doesn't want to be a member because he wants to develop more condos. He wants to buy it. He actually has a really funny line that says, golf courses and graveyards are the 2 biggest wastes of real estate. Which is just wild.
It's like nobody wants to be buried.
Yeah.
It's ecology.
It's ecology.
What the hell is he even talking about?
So that exchange where he's talking about where they're having this argument, he's on the green. This is just like a random line. He pulls out a golf club with a telescope on it.
Oh my god, yeah.
And says, Albert Einstein gave this to me. Nice man. Made a fortune in physics. And just like absolutely drains.
But
this,
it's
long
a telescope that's attached to the end of the golf club, so you can see down.
Yeah.
And it tells him green or red.
Yeah, like when to hit.
When to hit it.
It's pretty funny.
It is pretty funny.
Albert Einstein
That's like
gave me this.
In his literal bag of tricks he has.
Yeah, he's always got something.
Also, what is he dressed like this whole movie? He never wears a matching outfit at all.
Not one bit. Who's that? There's like a famous golfer now that he dresses like. I don't know his name because I don't watch golf.
The only golfer I know is Arnold Palmer, so it's not him, right?
And he just makes those wicked iced teas.
Dude, I like a nice zero, like a nice diet Arnold Palmer.
A nice zero shuggy add Arnie Palmy.
Wawa makes a good one too. Half lemonade, half iced tea, 0 cal.
Go get a pack of
Slap it
cigarettes
out
and
to half
an
gallon.
Arnie.
The only amount of liquid you need is a half gallon. No more, no less.
Plastic half gallon.
Yeah, you just
just send me to bed.
That first handle back.
When you gotta support the butt of it because you're like, I don't think this plastic handle is gonna support this.
Okay, well
that's a really niche.
If you haven't had one of those, you've definitely had 2 of them.
Yeah, you're definitely a scumbag. Anywho, after basically, so they're on the green. They're getting in or back at the club later that night. They're having an argument. Chevy Chase basically suggests that let's not fight. Go back to my private bar. Like we'll go to your office and kind of hash things out. At this point, he basically says like, let's settle this on the golf course. Like I'll bet you. I think they originally bet $20,000 on a game of golf. Basically, like we're gonna settle this like men. Like we're gonna put our money where our mouth is. Finally, like we're gonna bet $20,000 on a game of golf. And he says that the judge ends up partnering with a character that you see throughout
Dr.
that we didn't
Beeper?
really talk. Yeah, Dr. Beeper, that we don't really talk about. He has a lot of really awesome lines.
Yeah, because he's a doctor and he's always like doing that. I guess it's a beeper.
Yeah,
but it's also like, is it a voice recorder too?
No, he's talking on the phone and then he gets a page to
but
like
the
call.
beeper is like
it's huge. Yeah, I don't.
Okay, maybe that's how it was.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure.
Because it looks like a voice recorder.
It does a little bit.
At one point, he electrocutes himself with it when he gets out of the water.
Yeah, it's so stupid. So again, they said that like let's just settle this like men. We're gonna play a round of golf for a lot of money, basically. Rodney Dangerfield proposes that him and Ty, Chevy Chase's character, play Judge Smails and Dr. Beeper for basically the win. It's against club regulation, but they agree. They agree to it, and then I can't remember who says, you know what, double it. Let's make it $40,000. So it escalates to $40,000. It just keeps kind of ratcheting up. Later that evening, you see Chevy Chase practicing for the game against Smails, and this is kind of the first time that Chevy Chase, is playing like absolute shit. So all throughout the movie, the judge is always asking like, "Oh, Ty, what did you shoot today?" Because he's an incredible golfer, but he doesn't keep track of his score because he really doesn't give a shit. He's just there because he enjoys it. But there's a really great line that the judge comes up to him during one of the scenes, one of the little exchanges, and he says, "Yeah, Dr. Beeper is the club pro. He has the best record of anyone in the club." And he says, "And Ty, I'm no slouch myself." And Ty goes, "Oh, Judge, don't cut yourself short. You're a tremendous slouch," and then walks away from him.
That's where he also asks him. He's like, "What did you score? Or what did you shoot?" He's like, "Oh, I don't keep track." And he's like, "Well, how do How do you
measure yourself against other men?
He's like, by height.
By height. It's so good.
Because he's like a foot taller than
yeah. So this is like classic. I love watching this movie because this is like prime Chevy Chase, but like separate from the Clark Griswold character.
Yeah, because
you know what I mean.
You see a lot of the stuff he does in here. You'll see like remnants of it in Christmas Vacation.
Yeah, but you get a lot of this. I think that like in this movie, his sense of humor was what he was like on Weekend Update, like when he was on SNL.
Yeah.
Like I think there's a lot of similarities there. It's just it always cracks me up. So that night, Ty is practicing. He basically blows a shot clean into Carl's, I guess, garage where he's living. So if you forgot about Chevy Chase or what's his name? Oh my God, I almost said Chevy Chase.
Bill Murray.
Bill Murray's character, Carl, is reintroduced.
Don't worry, he's in his shed making plastic explosive versions of friendly animals to gophers, including a squirrel, a rabbit, and I think is it another gopher he's making?
I think so.
He's making literal plastic explosives.
He's like loading up a gun. So there's I do want to go back and talk about some of these scenes, but there was like very early on when you first meet Ty, we were talking about the scene where Rodney Dangerfield is kind of like throwing the money at people and he's saying all these funny one-liners. Separately, Carl has a gun on him, and you see he's got like shrubs all around him. He's basically like covered himself in foliage.
He's like, don't look at this. He's like, don't look at the bush.
He's like,
there's no bush here.
He's basically just trying to kill the goal for the whole movie. But he's running, and he's out there for like 5 minutes, and he has 2 6-packs of beer with him and a gun. And he's just like running through the woods, and he's like, okay, Mr. Gopher. Varmint. It's so stupid. So he meets Carl, kind of jumping back to where we were. He meets Carl, his ball lands in the middle of his shed / living arrangement, and you have like a legendary exchange between these two.
He's like, can I play through?
Yeah, he's like, hey, Carl, you mind if I play through? And he's like, oh yeah, man, go for it. He's like, hey, why don't you sit down or something?
He's like, no, that's okay. I don't want to get stuck to anything.
I don't want to get stuck to anything. There's a really great line. He's basically talking. He's like, yeah. He's like, what do what do you think of the place? Like, this is Carl saying this, and he goes, Carl, this is it's not good. And he's like, you should, hey, well, thank you. He's like,
I got stuff on order, He's
like, yeah, I get stuff on order. He's like, apparently being an assistant greenskeeper doesn't mean too much, but he basically goes into like, he talks about his 5-year plan. He's like, I hope to be the lead greenskeeper soon. And then he picks up a book of all like the greenskeeping worms. He's like, yeah, look at this, manganese. Not a lot of people know what that means. It's just like.
But then this is where he has the grass.
Yeah,
the grass is just sitting there. He's like, yeah, you can.
It lands on like a table with grass, right?
He's like, you can do 36. You can walk on this for 36 holes, and then you go home and you get I forget what he says.
Oh, he's like, I invented my own grass, and he brings him over to where the ball is.
He basically says you can walk on it and you can also smoke.
He's like, you can play 36 holes of golf on this, go home and get stoned to bejesus on
this. That's what it is. He's like, here, try it. He's like, no, it's okay. I don't really want to try it.
He's like, here, I got the big Bob Marley for you.
He pulls this blunt that's like, I don't know, 12 inches long, and he puts it in his mouth. He's like, here, let me light that for you.
And he's like, Carl, I bet, okay, maybe just one. And he takes a puff. It's very terrible. And he's like, oh yeah, it's a little harsh. He's like, here, you got to cannonball it. And he hands him a bottle of whiskey. And they're basically just going, the scene is only a couple minutes long, but he's basically in between like huge hits of this wild blunt. He's like slamming the whiskey.
He's like cannonball, and he keeps taking him back and forth, and cannonball one more time, and one more cannonball.
He's like, yeah, you're gonna cannonball it.
Yeah, one more cannonball. And then finally, what is this voice? I don't understand this voice he does in this movie, but it's
you're gonna cannonball it.
It's so
it is
fucking
really
good.
Funny. That was improvised. I think that was one of the things that when I went to the live screening, he said that they did a lot of the lines with him speaking normally, but then he just started to go into this like, yeah, I'm a lead greenskeeper, and they just said it was just so much funnier when he did that. But I like to imagine that scene where they're like going back and forth. I like to think that one, that was real weed in that thing, and 2, that was real alcohol, and I guess 3, that's what it was like while they were filming it.
Dude, I don't know. I can't speak to it.
Yeah.
Especially the weed thing. I don't know if they would have had a blunt that big. I have no idea.
I don't
but the
know.
alcohol,
I promise that was real.
I will sign off on that.
Yeah.
I wasn't there, but I guarantee you that's like some Canadian whiskey or something.
Oh yeah, that's something upsetting.
Something that probably tasted like hell.
Like just a nightmare. So anyway, so he ends up playing through. There's another. I'm sorry, I keep bringing up the lines. So he's like, Carl. Before he goes, he's like, Carl, thanks for having me over. Like, you know, you got to come over to my place. Like, yeah. Or he's like, yeah, I'll come by your place next time.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, you know, we'll do that. Like, he clearly doesn't. Like, he likes Carl, but he's like, I don't want to hang out.
He's like, I got a pool and a pond.
He's like, yeah, you got a pool. You got a pool over there. He's like, yeah, we got pond be nice for you. We got a pond.
He's like, pool pond, whatever.
He's like, yeah, pool pond. You know. He's like, yeah, you're over on Baker Street. Right? He's like, yeah. I'm. It's just so stupid. So anyway, that's kind of the end of their interaction. I think that's probably one of the stronger Carl like scenes.
Yeah, and so movie. I read this, and I think I read it multiple places.
Yeah, and you're look,
they don't like each other.
No,
the director didn't know this.
Yeah,
but they were both on Saturday Night Live. So season 1, Chevy Chase was on. Season 2 is when Bill Murray comes on.
Yeah,
and I think in season 2,
Chevy Chase left after season 2,
and then he comes back as he's the first person to come back as a host. And was on it, and somehow when they were filming him as the host. Backstage, Bill Murray reminded him of that he was. I don't know if he was like, oh, what, you think you're a big dog now or something like that, and that turned into an actual fist fight. Yeah. Belushi and Aykroyd had to actually break up. Like they had to stop him from fighting. They said the date of it, so I want to go. Yeah, all of that streaming on Peacock. I want to go watch that because at the end of the blurb it says like they pulled it together and made one of the most memorable episodes of all time. So I'm like, you know what? I may have seen clips from that episode, but I want to go back knowing this and watch that episode and see
what happened,
because they probably are just going nuts and all that.
Oh, I'm sure that they're probably just trying to outdo each other.
It's like me and you. Like every once in a while at work, we butt heads. We get into a fist fight.
Wait, do we?
One of us is on the ground getting beat up, and then we stand up and we're like, all right.
And we're like, dude, we got to go record Saturday Night Live.
Let's go finish our work right now. And we're just furiously typing out our checks. Everyone's like, how are they working so hard?
Yeah. Have we fought at work?
You know.
I don't.
No, we haven't.
Nah, dude. Although you did do this wild bit against me the other day, and then you folded instantly. I told you I wasn't going to say another word.
Talk about that. I'm embarrassed by this.
No, it's just fine. It's fine.
Yeah, we can talk about it. Yeah.
So this is not related to the
Nev Neve situation.
I kept saying Neve Campbell, and I just was pronouncing it wrong. But then I think
then you walked away, and I said to people around me, I was like, "Oh yeah, Nick keeps saying Neve Campbell. We're gonna get him."
You're like, "I'm not gonna tell him that it's Nev Campbell,
but we're gonna get him." And Connor's like, "How are we gonna get him?" I was like, "We're gonna start saying things that should be Ev as Eve, and
it
Eve
was
as
pretty.
Ev.
It was really funny, but I did not catch on. So and I knew I could break Keith.
Heavy. We kept saying like heaving, heavy.
Be like, "Oh, that's really
heavy."
And
then the one thing that we were talking about Wild Things with Nev Campbell, and Denise Richards, and so
I didn't get that one. Yeah,
so this is where me and Paul went over the top. We're like, all right, dude, we're gonna get him we're gonna get Connor to ask him about which Chevy Chase movie he liked better, Caddyshack or Christmas Vacation.
Yeah,
and Nick was just like, yo, I don't know what you guys.
I was like, I have no idea.
But this is the stupidest thing. I can tell it's stupid. And I'm not going to answer another word until you just stop. And then I was like, well, what about Wild Things?
Keith kept asking. I was like, Keith, I said I'm not going to answer another goddamn question.
You ever see that one, dude? It's with Neve Campbell and Dennis Richards. And he's like, yo, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. And I don't care. Once I said Neve Campbell, he's like, oh.
I was like, I've been fucking that up. It clicked, but then you broke instantly.
He's like, no, it's because even at the end you're like, no, it's Nev Campbell.
I was like, it's Nev. Right?
And I was just like. And me and Connor looked at each other and were like, oh my god, this whole bit that we've been cooking up is so stupid.
Yeah. Because now it was actually pretty good.
Because everybody was in the room while we were doing this, so it was like no longer that funny.
Yeah.
And I was like,
shout out to Connor, though. If we didn't tell him, he would have gone on for another 3 days.
Yeah, he was going to go for it.
And he's a listener, so, like, comment, subscribe, give it, kick a little cash or whatever.
He's got no social media, but I'll give you his address. You can just show up there.
All right, anyway, back to the plot. So we just had this wonderful exchange between Carl and Bill Murray and Chevy Chase's character. It is now the next day. Basically, it's the morning of the big match, the big golf match. And word spreads very, very quickly throughout all the caddies and stuff like that and all the workers that are there that there's a lot of money involved. So they kind of start taking little side bets and stuff like that during the game. During the game, when they're actually playing, Smales and Beeper end up taking the lead and Rodney Dangerfield is basically saying, like, I'm playing the worst game I've ever played. Like, what the fuck is happening? I thought I was going to smoke these guys, and that was going to be that, basically.
What does Ty say to him? Because he's like looking at a scorecard. First of all, there's a bunch of scribbles all over it, and he says like, "Oh, I forget what he says to him." He's like, "You're pretty bad."
Yeah, and he's like,
"You're not good.
You're not good."
Yeah, that's what he said.
Which is just really funny. So Ty, Chevy Chase's character, grows basically like he just gets super distracted throughout the whole thing. His head's not in it. He's playing like shit. And basically at this point, I think Rodney Dangerfield he shoots a ball, it hits a tree, and then like taps him on the arm.
And he's like, "Oh, my arm!"
And he's like,
broken.
That's it. I can't play. And he's like, "Oh, my arm."
And he wants a draw. He's like, "Oh," he's like, "It's gonna end in a draw." He's like, "Oh no, if you forfeit, you lose."
Yeah, you lose everything. And so they end up deciding that, like, you know what? Like, we'll pick a new person to fill in for us.
Well, first they say, "Oh, Spalding can fill in."
Yeah,
it
smells
nephew.
dipshit.
And he's like, "No, we will pick our own replacement."
Yeah. So they pick Danny Noonan. So Danny's back in action. He ends up playing. He ends up kind of killing it. They get into a little bit of an argument, and then he ends up saying, Rodney Dangerfield's character ends up saying, "You know what? We'll double it. How about you go 80,000 now? So it's even more money." That it's again just kind of ratcheting up a little bit. So I think at this point, is this? I was trying to think. Oh, so he actually increases it to 80, and then they ask Danny to play.
Well, no, I think 80 is when 80 is the last,
putt, right?
The last thing.
You're right.
So it's 40. I think they might update it.
That wrong.
They might update it to 40 right here, double or nothing 40, and then 80 is the last scene.
Yeah, I think I just said wrote it down wrong. Yeah, dude, I suck or whatever.
No, you're fine. Just remember, like, start working on your resume.
Yeah, that's cool. So at this point, Lou, who is the character that is Bill Murray's brother, he's kind of like the manager of all the caddies. He's been reffing this match. He basically is like, look, you're gonna forfeit if you don't find someone. And again, like we just mentioned, that they decide Danny Noonan. He basically smiles at this point. Is like, Danny, I just gave you that scholarship. I could take it away. And then separately, Rodney Dangerfield goes up to him and goes, "Hey, kid, you win. I'll make it worth your while." And so it's basically like, does he want to try and I like to tie... I thought this was cool. It seemed like they were trying to tie it back into the beginning of, like, tap into this energy of the universe, like, be the ball, basically. Just the mentality of, like, do what you want kind of thing. Like, make your own path, yada, yada, yada. So he ends up basically, he decides to play. He decides to say, like, you know what, fuck it, I don't want the scholarship. I'm going to play. On the final hole, the score is tied. Judge Smales scores a birdie. He pulls out he basically, like, needed to sink it to put them in the lead. And then what is the name? He pulls out a putter. The Billy Baroo.
He's like, Billy.
Yeah, he pulls out...
saying Billy. I'm like, this is fucking weird.
It's like a special putter. And he ends up basically landing a birdie, which is, I think, 2 under par.
I think so. That sounds right.
2 under par.
For two guys that don't golf, let's go with that.
Yeah. Okay. Sure.
All right.
It's some amount under.
Look it up.
Oh God.
What's a birdie?
What's
a birdie in golfing, dude?
So par is on, and then if you're under par,
birdie's one less.
One less than par.
And then what is it? Eagle is 2.
Eagle is 2, and then a hole in 1, because usually it's par 3.
Eagle is 2, and then what's a bogey's when you go over, right?
Bogey's over, yeah. So you have a bogey if you're
an
over.
Eagle, an albatross is 3 under, and a condor is 4. And then bogey, double bogey, triple bogey going over.
Yeah.
Cool. We
Yeah,
got all the rules of golf.
It's awesome.
Sign in for our next Patreon where we talk about golf.
Where we steer heavy into
but
golf.
we only talk about the rules.
Yeah, we don't play. We just and we look all of them up as we're going.
Yeah.
We didn't study.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. But we also, yeah. Go ahead.
Anywho, Danny has to complete a really difficult putt.
Did you like that?
Yeah, Keith just looked up super weird. He has to basically sink this putt or else they lose. At this point, right before he's about to make the putt, Rodney Dangerfield says, "Double or nothing that the kid makes the putt." So he's basically in it $80,000 now, or $160,000 is what the game is on. The judge reluctantly accepts, and he putts it. Danny putts it, and the ball lands right on the edge of the hole. It's kind of like hanging over it a little bit. They think they lost at this point, but separately, Carl has been planting explosives in all of the gopher holes. He detonates it, everything blows up, and then the ball like kind of shakes and falls into the hole, announcing that like, oh,
dude, the whole
they won.
golf course is just destroyed. Like it's
blown
like
to shit.
Huge Hollywood pyrotechnics.
Yeah,
like it's
pyrotechnics.
Pyrotechnics. See, I'm getting my words mixed up.
Yeah,
backwards. Recently, a lot typing and saying, and it's bad.
Oh, that's not good.
It's not good. Yeah, but it's just like huge explosions. Like he has ruined this golf course because before he sent water through all the holes.
He pours water down one of the holes to try and like flush them out.
He has just been destroying this golf course, and it's just one. I think it's just one gopher.
Yeah,
they say Gophers, but there's only one.
It's just the one, and it's a little puppet that's pretty funny. He's in this movie. So they basically lose, or Danny, Ty Webb, and Al win the wager. The judge basically tries to. He has a really funny line afterwards. He goes, "Hey, Moose, Rocco, help the judge find his checkbook." And these two like yoked dudes like step out of the crowd and start like going after the judge. And then I don't know if this is the end of the movie. The very last line of the movie, Rodney Dangerfield says, "Hey, everybody, we're all gonna get laid," and that's the end of the movie.
It's really a weird ending, and then it just cuts to
the golfer pops up unfazed, does two little coughs of black smoke, and then the main theme, "I'm alright," hits Kenny Loggins, and then he's just dancing, and then the credits roll.
And that's cool because that's also how the movie starts with the "I'm alright," and right before you meet Danny, you meet. I'm going to go with Gus the Gopher.
Gus the Gopher.
I don't know what his name is. Gus the Golfing Gopher.
Gus the Golfing Gopher guy.
But yeah, he's doing his animatronic gopher dance.
Yeah. Mr. Gopher is his official name.
I'm thinking Gus the Groundhog, you know.
Yeah, dude, big time.
You know,
Punxsutawney Phil or whatever.
Yeah.
What did you
Wait, is Gus the Groundhog, that's for the lottery, right? And then Punxsutawney Phil is
keep on scratching. Yeah. That guy? Yeah. And then Punxsutawney Phil is for Groundhog
the real Groundhog.
Yeah.
And maybe we'll cover Groundhog Day in the future because that's another Bill Murray. I think that's a great one.
That is a good one.
That's a really good
one. You know what? Speaking of Groundhog's Day, if you go to Punxsutawney, like Pennsylvania, which is not that far from us.
No, it's not.
On Groundhog's Day, everyone dresses up in like black tie, like top hats, canes, and it's like an all weekend festival around Groundhog's Day.
That's pretty cool. Have you gone?
No, I want to go. Really, I read about it. Like during the last one, it was like we watched the little like on TV they pull that frightened thing out of the ground and whatever. And I was like, what? Like that's got to just be like.
Is it on cable? Do you have cable?
It was on YouTube. We have YouTube TV.
Oh, YouTube TV.
Yeah. Okay. So we watched it.
You got cable for the future.
Yeah, dude. We got. This is not your father's cable, dude.
Nah, dude. We don't got Comcast anymore. We got YouTube.
Not a cable box to be found, dude. Anywho, so this. I love this movie. It's so good. Yeah. Do you want to talk about some stuff?
One of the most iconic things, and it actually made it into a Regal commercial. Is how funny the line is when he's talking about. He's like he's talking. I think he's talking to one of the other caddies, and he has the pitchfork up as. He's like, one time I caddied for the Dalai Lama. He kept calling him the Lama, and he's like, so he goes through this whole spiel about how he was the caddy, and then he's like, "Hey Lama," so he's like at the end, he's like, "Hey Lama, how about a little something, for the effort, And he's like, and he says, "Oh, there won't be any money, but when you die on your deathbed, you will receive total consciousness. So I got that going for me." Which is nice. So I got that going for me, which is nice.
So this whole part, he has a pitchfork on another caddy's like neck.
He keeps like up poking against into his neck, and I'm like, why the fuck is he?
That whole so the kid, he's like kind of laughing during it. That was all like they basically it's very out of place, that one scene. And it's because they just filmed that because he kept doing like that bit where he would go up to people with the pitchfork. And so they were like, we have to record it. So he improv that entire Dalai Lama speech. God. He's
talking about the robes and
he's like the robes, the grace, beautiful. And he's like, and so the Lama, he hits it. The Lama's a good hitter. Long. It's just so dumb. But that's a line that I say all the time. How about something for the effort?
About something.
That's a good line. Like if you hold the door for someone and you're just trying to be like a little like, hey, I'll do something, for the effort. It always gets a nose chuckle, What were some other scenes?
The other one is when we talk about the water scene. So it's like kind of earlier on when the first time he's trying to get rid of the gopher, and he's singing. He's bringing the hose. He's carrying the hose between his legs. He's like, "Great big cups of greasy grime or gopher guts," and then he's talking. He's basically talking about, like, how about a nice drink, varmints,
Varmint,
scum, slime, menace to the golfing industry, and he's just talking about all this stuff. He's like, "You're the lowest members of the food chain. You'll probably be replaced by a rat."
He's like, "You'll probably be replaced by a rat."
But then the gopher pops out of another hole, so he goes.
Oh yeah, he's like behind him.
Somebody teaches these varmints a little lesson about morality and what it's like to be a decent, upstanding member of society. And he just
jumps on the
hole, and then that's when he shoves it down. He's like, "How about 150 gallons?"
Oh, and then it bites him too.
Oh, he bites his finger because he gives him the finger.
Yeah, and then his fucking bucket hat is like falling off his head. It's so good.
Oh, he also has the creepy lines with the ladies, which is so weird. He's like, "Come on, bark like a dog for me. Bark like a dog. I'll teach you the meaning of the word respect. I'll teach you." God. And then this line though is pretty devious. He goes, "Wait up, girls. I got a salami. I got to hide still." And that's so where hide the salami. I think that's where it comes from. I've heard.
Is it?
I don't know. I just heard that as a kid.
Oh yeah,
play the old hide the salami.
It's like a not.
It's an adult. Yeah. It's an adult only game, but I feel like that's where it comes from. Is him just?
It is a. I mean, I think his character is like
he's like a dirtball.
He's dirtball is the word for it.
But then there's the time where he calls them the Varmint Kong instead of the Viet Cong. That destroyed me.
Yeah, that was pretty nuts.
License to kill Gopher. Oh, you do the voice so much better. I can't do the voice.
Yeah. Well, what's the line? Do you want me to do the voice?
Yeah, it's licensed to kill gophers by the government of the United Nations.
Licensed to kill gophers by the government of the United Nations.
You do. Your mouth is like doing it perfectly.
To kill Varmint Kong.
And that's all she wrote.
I think he's doing. Isn't that a movie? I thought that was a line in a movie. Like the license to kill, the whole license to kill thing. I thought he was doing a quote.
I don't know. Off the top of my head, I don't know.
Yeah. Anyway, but this movie is again just full of quotes. This one always stuck out to me because this is something Ty says, Chevy Chase's character. He says, "Don't be obsessed with your desires, Danny. The Zen philosopher Basho once wrote, 'A flute with no holes is not a flute, and a donut with no holes is a Danish.'" He was a funny guy. And you're like, I don't know what I was supposed to get out of that. But there's just endless one. Oh, you know what scene we didn't talk about? The pool.
Oh my god, the whole pool scene. It's before the boat scene is the pool scene.
Yeah, right before the boat scene. There's a lot of like these little scenes that are kind of interjected.
Little vignettes, we'll say.
I would say that those little scenes are, because this is like written and directed by National Lampoon people.
It's like a movie. It's like sketches.
Yeah, it's a sketch. If you've seen like Animal House, this is a very this scene is, I think, of the scene where he's like, try and see if you can guess what I am now. And he puts all the food in his mouth and then punches his cheeks and he goes, "I'm a zip."
Get it? Yeah.
And that's the whole scene. Like those little scenes, I think are kind of mirrored in this movie. So it's Caddy Day at the pool from 1 p.m. to 1:15 p.m.
And it's just a handwritten sign that they just put on the sign.
Yeah, and so they just swarm the whole pool, and you get this at, like, they're all, again, college age kids, a bunch of degenerates. They're trashing the pool. The one girl has her top off in the pool. Like they tip the lifeguard stand over. Then they go into this like synchronized swimming routine.
Oh my god, it's so
funny. Like, out of absolutely nowhere, they go into
and it's like pretty good.
Yeah,
they're doing wild, funny things inside of it. But
but like half of them have their shoes on in the pool and stuff.
Like the whole center is shoes, hats, shirts,
and so they're going crazy. And then kind of separately, a girl opens a what is the bar? Do you remember what candy? It's a candy bar, basically.
Oh, it's a Baby Ruth.
It's a Baby Ruth. Opens up a candy bar, and then one of her friends is like, "Hey, give me some of that." She's like, "No," and she's like, "Fine, screw you." Grabs it and throws it in the pool, and then it looks like a poop in the pool. And so there's it's the exact same shot as Jaws.
And then the music too.
It plays the Jaws theme song, and you kind of have like an eye on the poop, basically, and everyone's like scurrying to get out of it, and then you see Spaulding, the fucking dipshit nephew, swims up to it with his snorkel on, and then there's a really funny line that his aunt says, Judge Smell's wife, just goes, "Spaulding, no!" And he looks at it, and he puts his head up and screams poop, and then That's the end of it. So then they cleaning the pool later, and Carl finds it at the bottom, picks it up, smells it, and it's like, it's just candy, and takes a bite out of it.
Everyone's watching him. No.
It's just so funny.
But so they take the one kid gets his suit ripped off at one point.
Yeah, and then he just has like a jock on,
and he's like running, like covering up running, and the lifeguard covered in sunscreen says, "Put your suit back on." And then this girl that's on the this line killed me. This girl is on the she's on the diving board. And she goes, "You shave your ass," and she just jumps off the diving board. It doesn't make any sense, but I just
shave your ass.
Shave your ass.
That's so stupid. But there's a couple lines that I think were the judge had really good lines. So Ted Knight, the guy who plays Judge Smales, he was actually like a really, really serious, dramatic actor before this movie, and it was kind of a miracle that they got him. But they said they would fuck with him relentlessly on set, and he hated it. So he was always apparently the one thing he was really particular about his hair. Like, he was an older guy, and if you see the movie, his hair is always like perfectly combed and stuff like that. Chevy Chase used to go up to him and like tousle his hair right before a shot. And he would be like, he said he would like storm off, and he'd be like, "Fuck this, I'm not shooting now." And like people would get like kind of mad at the cast because they'd be like, "Guys, stop fucking with Ted. We need to shoot this movie."
There's one scene, I think it's towards the end. They're like, I think they're taking a photo or something like that, and Chevy Chase is next to him, and he just like slinks his arm around.
Oh, around him,
and he starts blowing in his ear.
Yeah,
and I don't know what he freaks out, but I don't know what the scene is, but that's hilarious because it was
at the caddy golf tournament.
Oh, that's what it is. Because they're in the background.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh my god.
It is pretty good. But there's a really funny line in here that Ted Knight says. His character is supposed to be like a huge, stickler. But he invites Danny in. This is the scene after he finds Danny and his niece hooking up. He invites him in, and he goes, "Danny, I've sent boys younger than you to the gas chamber." And he said, "I didn't want to do it, but I felt like I owed it to them." And he's like, Okay. It's just so stupid.
And this is right after Lacey has met with Chevy Chase behind closed doors, and then
met with Danny behind closed doors.
Which is, we'll never understand that gap.
Yeah, I think
it's like kind of like a young daughter situation.
Yeah,
not really sure.
Oh,
you shouldn't ask.
From Halloween 3.
No, I was thinking a really funny shirt design would be Halloween 3. Picture of Tom Atkins opening that motel door, and it says "The night he came home." I really want to make it.
That would be funny.
Like, nobody would really want to understand it or care about it, but I feel
that would be funny as shit.
Because of the night he came home.
That's a verbal trademark. No one can make that shirt now.
I don't think we can make that shirt.
No, we'll get sued.
Because I'm pretty sure that is our trademark.
But there's a couple other lines that I wanted to talk about. So this is my brother's, like, one of his favorite movies of all time. Loves this movie. Him and I have watched this together no less than like 50 times probably. But the scene where Spaulding is walking up to the snack shack.
Oh yeah.
And he's like, "I want a hamburger. No, I want a cheeseburger. I want a hot dog. I want a shake. I want chips." And then the judge cuts him off and goes, "You'll get nothing and like it." My brother says that all the time.
Dude, I swear that's something I don't know if it falls down into other things after this, but that's like something that's like I feel like that's a huge that line. Yeah. I
feel like that is like a more memorable line.
I think movie. You know what? I think my parents would say,
"You'll get nothing and like it."
Yeah, that's probably where I first heard it.
Yeah, and then this is the last line that I'll talk about between Judge Smales and Spaulding, just because it was so goddamn funny. It's one of the times the judge needed a golfing partner, and he says, "Spaulding, get dressed. You're going to play golf." And Spaulding goes, "No, Grandpa, I'm playing tennis." He says, "You're playing golf and you're going to like it." "Grandpa, what about my asthma?" And then he just goes, "I'll give you asthma." It's just so good.
But that little dipshit Spaulding keeps saying when he messes up, he's like, what does he say? Farts.
Oh, he's like, farts. Double farts.
And then later in the movie,
shit.
The judge says, rat farts.
Yeah. It's so stupid.
Oh, can I say one weird line?
Dude, go for it.
So Lacey and Ty, this is during their rendezvous.
This part of the show is going to be Keith and I just talking about our favorite quotes if you haven't picked up on it. Continue. During their rendezvous.
Yeah. She says, she says something like, they're talking about her uncle, and she goes, "My uncle says you've got a screw loose," and he says, "Oh yeah, your uncle molests collies." And I was like,
what?
I had to rewind it because I was like, what did he just say?
Yeah.
And he just says it, and that's the end of the scene.
and that's it.
They both just look at each other and it's like, okay. And that's another thing where they're improv. And this reminds me of a lot of like Chevy Chase before and after this, where like even in Christmas Vacation, he's like, kiss his ass, kiss his ass,
kiss your ass, kiss your ass, kiss your ass, kiss my ass,
you know,
kiss his ass.
Yeah, it's just like he has like very
his
dry
delivery is really funny.
Yeah,
he also there's another line in that little section that makes me laugh. Again, like while they're hanging out, and he says, "You're attractive for a beautiful girl with a great body." And I thought that was like, there's little things like this. I think his comedy, he's really good at saying these quick lines, but when you think about them, you're like, wait a minute, that's hilarious.
He's rubbing her back. He's that weird scene where he's rubbing her back, and he's like talking about. He's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna try something. It's like acupressure, but it's acupuncture. It's gonna be this little needle." And she's like, "No, don't do it." And he takes like
the toothpick,
and he puts it in. He's like, "I didn't even do anything.
I didn't do that." Then the scene when they're together and she's like, "Oh, I'll show you the best way to take a shot." And she licks the lime, like she does it the right way, and he's like, no, let me show you the real way to do it. So he squeezes the lime into his mouth, snorts the salt, and throws the shot behind his ear, and then he starts going on the piano, and he's like, "I was born." Like, it's just... So when we saw the little live thing, Chevy Chase played that song on the piano, like right before he left. They were like, "Oh, is there anything you want to say?" And he's like, "Let me sing you guys a song." And then he was like, dun, 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 "I was born." And then he just like went right into it. And everyone was like,
"How old was he when you saw him?"
This was probably 5 years ago.
So he's fully gray.
4 or 5 years ago. Okay. Yeah, he was fully gray, but he was funny.
I still haven't seen Community, but you said it's good.
Yeah, he's pretty funny in that show.
He is in the Vacation remake. Did you see that?
I did. I thought that was great. With
when they go back to the family,
yeah,
and he's there.
I thought that was great.
I love that movie. No exaggeration.
You told me about that. I was looking for a movie to watch, and you were like, "Watch the new Vacation with Ed Helms." God. You were like, you said, I think the line you told me, you said, "Joke for joke." It's one of the funniest movies.
I cry when I watch that movie.
It
is, dude. Good. It's so stupid, but every scene is funny.
Yeah, it's
every
incredible.
Scene is absurd and it's funny. And they're all funny in it. The brothers are insanely funny.
Yeah, they really did a great job.
His little brother's just basically bullying him the entire movie.
It's just so wild. I didn't have anything else for this one. Did you want to talk?
Yeah,
about
Rodney.
Lines? Yeah.
When Rodney did in the boat scene? Did we talk about how Rodney Dangerfield comes in with his boat and destroys the entire...
Yeah.
We did say that, right?
Uh-huh.
But when he does it, when he runs his boat over, he says, "Hey, Smells, my dinghy's bigger than your whole boat."
You scratched my anchor. Jumps it.
And then we did also talk about how he goes up to the judge's wife and says, "Hey, yeah, want to make $14 the hard way?"
Yeah, what does that mean?
I think I might have a couple more little ones, but I think that was
it. Oh, there's a funny Rodney Dangerfield line where after he's realizing how shitty he's playing, he you know the scene where he's scribbling on the paper that we were just talking about. He goes, "Oh, I should have just stayed home and played with myself."
Yeah, that's what he's.
Oh, it's just the whole thing is so good.
I think there's one more Bill Murray line I have here.
Yeah,
and it's like I guess it's kind of one of the famous ones. He's like, I can't do the voice, but it's like, I have to laugh because I've outsmarted even myself. My enemy, my foe, is an animal.
Is an animal.
He's an animal.
He's like, I have to laugh. It's so good.
Yeah, and then the other epic scene, I don't have it written down, but when he's just standing by the flowers and he's just teeing off on the flower, and he's talking about the Cinderella story about how basically, I guess, how he's going to go from assistant groundskeeper to pro.
He's like, former greenskeeper, now about to become the Masters champion. Cinderella story, his unknown comes out of nowhere, he lead in the pack. He's in a good final hole. He's about 450 yards away.
He's got the hat and the boots, and his shirt is so dirty.
Yeah. It's so stupid. Oh, that it's just so good.
Yeah, and Rodney Dangerfield, I think, tips every single person he talks to in the movie.
Yeah, every single person.
Like, "Hey, kid, park my car, get my bags, and put on some weight, will you?" And stuff some money on him.
It's just every single line is good. I could probably quote the rest of this movie for 2 hours, longer than the actual movie, and talk about how funny it was.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Did you have any fun facts about the recording of it or anything like that? I didn't.
I just had basically that basically I had kind of what I talked about at the beginning, where they the Murray brothers actually were all caddies, and this is kind of they got the idea from this while they were working on Saturday Night Live.
Yeah.
And the other brother wrote it. He wrote the screenplay with what's his name? I can't even. My brain isn't working.
Harold Ramis.
Yeah, with Egon. Rest in peace.
Yeah.
And right when I said the bit about Chevy Chase and Bill Murray hating each other.
Yeah.
And then I think you kind of covered it. Basically, everything's improv. Like almost the whole movie. Like all the scenes are pretty much improv as they go. Yeah, which is awesome.
I mean, they said that probably more than half of this movie was all improvised lines.
I know that they did film this in California, but they picked a particular golf course that didn't have palm trees around it, so they could make it feel like Chicago or like Midwest.
Yeah,
that's pretty funny.
They did do a good job with that. The one scene that I did, this was a note that I had. So the scene where the ball crashes into Carl's thing, like Carl's house, that actually originally, that was one of the last scenes written, because they were like, we have Bill Murray and Chevy Chase together, and they've never interacted with each other. So they were like, we need them to be together.
Oh yeah, 'cause
like,
they're not.
Yeah, they're not. That's the only time where they're interacting with each other.
Yeah, because Carl's subplot is like his own
It's
thing.
wild. He's like, he's just like in the battlefield. But yeah, they said that what's his name's Bill Murray's lines. He had all like the Cinderella boy, like that one, completely improv. I don't know how you could have come up with that on the spot, but I guess that's why he's Bill Murray, and that's why we're doing this about him.
But I read something similar about this one and about Ghostbusters. They basically would have to like, he was only available for a certain amount of time.
Oh, Chevy or
Bill Murray.
Bill Murray, yeah.
I feel like they would just drag him out of his trailer to like come to, like he would just be like totally fucked up.
He was just dead.
They were just like, all right, you have to. He's like, all right, fine, I'll come.
Yeah.
And then it gives you the craziest performances. Same with Ghostbusters, the same deal.
Yeah.
Like supposedly like he was
unreal.
Just like they had to basically pull him out of his apartment or trailer to get down there to record.
Yeah,
because they were just like, you have to do this.
Like, you got it. Come on, dude. You gotta. That's incredible, though. I mean, like this time. I mean, that was Bill Murray's. Like, he was big.
Oh yeah.
You know. I just think it's. Oh, we didn't even talk about. But this movie, it did really well in the box office too. It
crazy.
Did. It was about. This says what I'm looking at right here. About between $4 and $6 million was the budget, which allows cocaine apparently. Which is something you mentioned at the beginning. And the box office, this made about $60 million. I think it was purely because of the cast that was on it. Like you said, it was Rodney Dangerfield was a legend in stand-up at that time. He didn't really do any movies. He would go on to do, after this movie, he would go on and do Back to School. Which is awesome. Thornton Mellon is his character in that one. The Triple Lindy. We should cover that movie. That's an awesome one. That's good. And then he also opened up like a ton of comedy clubs as well. But Michael O'Keefe, I believe this was one of his first earlier movies. But
yeah, I think he'd done one before this.
But the cool thing that I was talking to with Keith before we started recording was we actually DM'd Michael O'Keefe and asked him what his favorite movie was, and I have it right here. I'll post it on our social media because I just thought it was like pretty neat. But it was, let me see. Oh my goodness, now I can't find it. So his favorite movie is The Red Shoes. If anyone would like to know what Michael O'Keefe's favorite movie is, so
and it's not the Red Shoe Diaries, which is what I thought it was.
Yeah, it's just The Red Shoes.
Yeah.
So
totally different movie.
Yeah, he got right back to me. So shout out to Michael O'Keefe. So, all right, I think
I remember you told me about that forever ago.
Yeah, I did that. We messaged him and a couple other people like really, really long time ago. But
yeah, I thought Rodney did more movies.
No, he didn't. He didn't do a ton of movies.
The ones I'm familiar with are Easy Money and Back to School.
He was also in Little Nicky too.
Yeah, well, he's also in. Have you seen Natural Born Killers?
Yeah.
He's Mallory's dad for that weird. Oh man,
that's weird.
Weird in that one.
But anyway, so I didn't have. I didn't really have anything else. Did you want to?
What's your favorite Bill Murray?
My favorite Bill Murray movie or line? Favorite Bill Murray movie. This is a newer one. I liked him in Moonrise Kingdom because I thought that was a neat movie, but that's not my favorite. This is probably my favorite classic Bill Murray movie.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just so iconic.
It is so good.
Groundhog Day is really good.
I'm gonna throw What About Bob high up there.
What About
that
Bob
movie
is very
kills
funny.
me.
Yeah, with Richard Dreyfuss.
Yeah,
which is good.
Yeah, he plays such a dickhead.
Oh, it's incredible. I love it.
But he's like kind of not a dickhead. He's kind of like, just don't fuck with me on my vacation with my family.
I mean, he's in the right.
Yeah.
But
his family's like, no.
Yeah, he's made out to be the bad guy, which is
and that little kid is actually plays in Hook. I don't know why I do that. Till nonsense that doesn't need to be said. Anyways, so your favorite Bill Murray is this?
Yeah, probably this one. I would say. So, do you have? Do you want to bring us in with a quote to end this one? A Bill Murray quote. Let's do a Bill Murray quote.
Yeah, which one do you like the best?
It's your quote. You got to pick it.
Why do I have to pick it?
I don't know. Because you always pick the quote to end it. I always put you on the spot.
But you do the voice better.
I don't know. You got to cannonball it.
Got to cannonball it.
You got to cannonball it.
You could do.
I will on my deathbed. I will receive total consciousness. So I get that going for me, which is nice.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. I like that.
Until next time. Is that it?
Next time. Yeah.
All right. Have a wonderful evening, everyone.